Hi, I'm Rewin, and today we're doing something a little different. I asked you guys what your Stranger Things Season 5 and BYLER theories were, so today we're going to go through some of them. Now, today is the 14th of September, which means if you have not submitted your theory before this point, I probably won't address it today, but if there's enough interest, I will do another one. So, I've got my trusty phone here, and I'm going to use that to go through the theories we have. We'll start with someone called Kupo, I think? So, they said, well, I really think that Will's arc in Season 5 will be huge and full of twists. I definitely think he has fire powers and that it will be revealed in Episode 4. So actually, I'll do this one in parts. So I think it's definitely a possibility. Because as we know in the trailer, we see Vecna going against some kind of fire. And also in Season 1, Will has been foreshadowed to have fire powers. I don't think that's an impossible one. I think the likeliness is 50-50, but if he does, he kind of already does have powers, to be fair. With his shadow walk ability and his spy ability, I'm questioning whether his shadow walking advances to the point he can use Vecna's powers or something like that, but we shall see. I actually think Will is going to go after Vecna alone after Holly's disappearance, and that Mike, Joyce, and Holly's/Erica's friends will try to find them both, but will only find Will. I can see that. I've definitely seen that concept a lot in fan fictions, and it really boils down to how self-sacrificial Will is going to be. So, it's very true that Will has been in the Upside Down a lot, and we're definitely getting an emphasis on how he has been in the Upside Down a lot by himself, because we are obviously getting flashbacks, a lot of flashbacks, so that really intrigues me because it is implying that he is the best in the Upside Down, and he may be forced to go back into there. I think at some point Mike and Will separate from the whole group after a fight with upside down creatures or Vecna, and that it's when BYLER will travel to the church and or Lover's Lake. Then I think that Will will be taken by Vecna under Mike's eyes. Cue the trailer scene where Elle seems to be going into sensory deprivation tank, IMO, to search for Will and Holly's locations. From there, I'm not sure what could happen. I would have seen that some of the party will go back into the Upside Down to choose some of different teams. Hopper and Elle seems to be one. We still need another trailer for more hints. Okay, so I have spoken in length before about how Lover's Lake Gate is 100% happening in Episode 5. We've pinpointed the episode, but that does add a foil to this theory, because in the trailer, the majority of the scenes shown are in Season 1, and Will getting Vecna'd is potentially Volume 2, and I think very likely to be Volume 2. So, it really, for example, the sensory deprivation tank scene, that is in Volume 1, whereas Lover's Lake is in Volume 2, basically confirmed. So, I think it's possible that Will gets kidnapped, but I don't think that's what the sensory deprivation one is. Unless it's something like, I do think Mike and Will go patrolling on their own, or potentially Will comes out of the Upside Down via the Lover's Lake Gate. That is also possible, but it's complex. But I definitely think there is a possibility of your theory, and that is quite a solid one. Now, the same person also added a little bit extra onto their theory. Can I add, I think Will probably go to look for Holly by himself. True. Could happen. First, it is obvious that Will cares a great deal about the Wheelers, especially Mike, so it makes sense that he would attempt something to find Holly. I think if he got, too stressed with having to deal with Vecna, I could 100% see that, having to, take responsibility. Secondly, he survived 1 week in the Upside Down and can relate to Holly just for being taken to the Upside Down. He knows what it's like and how to survive, so of course he's trying to help find her. That is 100% the strongest point, 100%, because thing is, if they say it'll take a while to find Holly and Will knows what it's like to be there, he is, very likely to go into the Upside Down to find Holly. I would 100% see that because he knows how to survive, and he knows that you have to survive for a while before someone finds you. It's not immediate, so I could definitely see him going in after, and then Mike going in after him as well. I think that's a very strong possibility. Thirdly, even though he has that experience, I don't think he'd want to endanger anyone by going with him in the Upside Down. Very true. Again, Will has a kind of self-sacrificial nature where he doesn't tend to speak about how bad things for himself until he's basically forced into it, so, That said, I can also imagine him maybe trying to convince everyone to no avail that he has to go attempt to find and save Holly. In this case, he'd have to sneak into Upside Down by himself until other people notice he did and go after him too. I could easily see that being Mike as well, and that's what Lovers Lake Gate episode is about as well, because they failed the first volume to find Holly. It's in too bad of a situation, so he's just like, I'm just gonna go. Mike follows him, and then we get to Lovers Lake where Will's just like, I'm gonna go, leave me alone, and we have a whole confession, and we get Vecna to blah 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 blah. Okay. Non-binary gays on Reddit said, I think Will has powers. He's parallel to Henry a lot and it would explain a lot of things about him. Also, he's a big part in saving Hawkins this season. Now, I think Will already borderline has powers with his ability to shadow walk and hear other people's thoughts. That in itself is a power through connection, although albeit probably a lot more dangerous than Elle's connection. So I definitely think it's a possibility, with Will having fireball powers foreshadowed in the first season and having fire being the thing that works the best against Demogorgons and Vecna. It's 100% a possibility. And again, he may even start to be drawing powers from the Mind Flayer, because they are right in that the Mind Flayer gave powers to Henry by kidnapping him and he became Vecna, so I could 100% see that happening with Will, since he has been kidnapped and sent to the Upside Down, and even if he manages to end up in Dimension X or something, then he gets his powers. Kitatsune says, I think Vecna's next target may be Mike. Will is the obvious choice though, but if BYLER were to happen and the possibility that Mike is still very, very closeted and repressed, then that's a lot for Vecna to work with. Not gonna lie, very true. I think that could be how Mike and Eleven break up. We obviously do see a scene of Will getting Vecna'd in the trailer, but that could be a dream, and that also could be a different point in the series than Mike potentially getting Vecna'd. It really depends as well Vecna's method, because Vecna, if he's in the outer world, I suspect doesn't have to use this mindfuckery to kill someone. So it really intrigues me why he's doing this. Like, I could 100% see him doing the Vecna thing to Will, because Will doesn't know how to target it. If Will has powers and he's now a threat, and also Will is acting as a spy unintentionally, if Will figures out how to look the other way and watch what Vecna is doing, that is now an immediate issue to him, an immediate thing he has to tackle, so that's why he would have to do it in that niche way. But whether he would go for Mike is an entirely different question, but you are 100% right. Like, it's very clear that Mike's mental health has been getting worse and worse with the seasons, especially in the Dustin experiment. It's showing how his mental health is really declining, and we don't see much of that. We have very little Mike's POV out of the last season 3 and season 4. It's always in like Will's POV or Angela's POV or Elle's POV, all other people. It's very rarely Mike, especially in season 4. We get like, I think 2 POVs of Mike or something stupid like that, where it's Mike looking lovingly at Will and Mike literally seeing Will glowing in light. So it's an interesting one. That's a good one. Annual Jorian 9899 said, I think Will is surviving. He has simply been through way too much, and it won't be satisfying for audience to watch the death of the character who has been through that amount of constant pain for 4 seasons. Very true, and also where I think BYLER would happen. It's so unnecessarily cruel to the point it doesn't seem like a good plot device anymore. It's yeah, the Duffer Brothers I've heard as well. I don't have confirmation for this. I've heard this as rumors, but the Duffer Brothers have said killing Will would be too sad for the series. And that's the thing. If Will likes Mike just to get rejected and then Will dies, that would be too rough. I definitely think he's going to have some close calls. I think he's going to have a close call when he goes to the Upside Down to save Holly, because he probably does. And then I think the other major one is going to be when I think Will has to temporarily die for the Upside Down to close, because he's so heavily linked to the Upside Down. I think it's going to be a case of he has to die temporarily and then Elle revives him. It really feels like it's set up to be like that. Accomplished by _bison20 on Reddit said, there's going to be some time travel, probably back to 1983, perhaps further back as well. This one really intrigues me, and I do plan to do some research at some point on this, because obviously in season 4 there is a lot about going across time, but I don't necessarily think we're going to look at time travel. Flashbacks 100%, and probably time travel in the mind, like going back in time to show memories, to be like, hey Mike, hey Will, you're gay, I'm gonna kill you now. So, but whether we're actually going to time travel and restart everything is debatable, because as well, if they're time traveling, they might be going back completely just to restart everything, reset everything, which I don't think they'll do, especially based on leaks where we've seen, I believe, spoilers, Mike and Hopper on a car together, and Steve as well, all in the future. So it's a complicated one. I will maybe do another video, maybe like just showing how I research what I'm doing to kind of figure out more about this theory, but I do know there is depth to it, so feel free in the comments to explain more about the time travel theory to me. So, Frenzy64 said, I went to see the theatre play last year and I've noticed BYLER offered and parallels Henry and Patty, his love interest in the play. Now, spoilers ahead obviously, at the end of the play, Patty has a fake-out death caused by Henry giving in to the Mind Flayer's possession, after which they never see each other directly again. So, I wonder, maybe Mike or Will, probably Mike to align more with the play, will have a fake-out death paralleling that, but rather than them never seeing each other again, they actually end up both getting a happy ending, reminding Vecna Henry of Patty, weakening him so he can be beaten or something along those lines. Oh, and also they left a nice comment saying my videos are cool. Thank you, I love you. I love all of you guys. Everyone that commented and everyone that supported and everyone just, you're all so cool. I love you. I love you. But yeah. 100% there are the parallels between Henry and Patty and Will and Mike. It's quite obvious that it's not there for Mike and Elle, but it 100% is for Will and Mike. And that's the thing, that's another thing, like for the fight to be won, Will has to end up with Mike. I think he needs that mental boost. And if Will does have a fake out death, or Mike has a fake out death, either Will gets powers when he sees Mike is potentially dead, or it's just when Will goes to the upside down and Mike is like, hey, where's he gone? But yeah. I do think there is probably going to be a separation, even just when, yeah, as I said, when Will goes upside down and he's separated, or Will gets visions where Mike has died, or even Mike gets severely injured and is revived by Elle. That is also a possibility, but I 100% think something to do with Patty is going to be involved. Now, it's going to be difficult because Patty is only in the stage play, she's not in the show, so they will have to do some foreshadowing, some details there to have it link in, but also not necessarily, it might just be clues for people who have seen the stage play to be like, Vecna is seeing this, having flashbacks, contemplating things kind of deal. It's definitely possible. Fit Echidna? Oh yes, Echidna, it's the bug. 8830 says, I kind of feel like Will is going to get possessed again because of the trailer, and I think because of how Mike was with Will in season 2, he's going to get that same level of protective over Will again. I don't believe there will be a confession, at least until the end of the series after all the conflict. Potentially. I do think that we are going to get Mike being more protective over Will, or we're going to get the opposite, because we know that there's a good chance that Will is going to be brushing Mike off. His trust has been broken. I mean, and in one of the leaked scenes, the lip reading seems to be that Mike is worried about Will, but Will's not saying anything about it. So I have a feeling this is all going to come together in the Lover's Lake scene where he's like, hey, I care about you, stop being a dickhead and don't stop trying to die kind of deal. So obviously Will is 100% going to get possessed again. I think we've seen Vecna's hand going, well, found you. So I 100% think it is a very likely possibility that Will is getting possessed again. It's like almost guaranteed, especially when we're seeing him fainting and having being completely disassociated in the trailer. I really think that is a big effect and something really bad that we're going to find out more about. But yeah, I think confession we will get earlier on, potentially Lover's Lake, but getting more romantic moments will be more towards the end of the season, especially if they have a Will fake out death. If Will has his fake out death, as dies, is brought back, you'll have Mike going, don't leave me, and then yeah. Final one for this video today is from Carpet Dilemma. I think all the main characters will survive, but Murray is going to be killed and potentially one or both of the Wheeler parents. Also, BYLER has to be canon because the Duffers simply wouldn't write a slow burn rejection. If Murray is killed, I'm quitting the show. Nah, if Murray goes, I wouldn't be surprised, but I would be quite sad about it. Mike is going to go. Probably Karen is just about fine, but Mike is 100% good. Not Mike, sorry. Ted Wheeler. Ted is going. Karen's going to be just about fine, I think. I think there's a chance that one of the main characters goes. Max, I think, is going to survive. Will's going to survive. Mike, I don't like how close he is to the death list. Lucas potentially dying to save Max. I could see that, and I will quit the show. Joyce or Hopper? If one of them dies, it'll be Joyce. Jonathan, I think, is going to die. I really hate to admit this, and it makes me so sad because I didn't like Jonathan in the first season. I thought he was a creep, and I thought he didn't deserve Nancy. But he really grew as a character on me. Like, I think it's going to go, and that's going to be really rough because Joyce is going to be so focused on Will that she's lost her other son. That is not going to settle well. Steve, potentially. Although, if it's Steve or Dustin, I think Dustin's going. I think Dustin's going to go over Steve, which is... we don't talk about that. But yeah, I think we're going to get some deaths this season. It's inevitable. I bet in the flashback, and the scenes we've seen for the flash forward, if we're going to get a flash forward, we're going to see them talking about someone who died, and it's going to be... but yeah, BYLER has to be canon. There's so many narrative leads coming to this point. Like, there is no way this season ends without Will having the support of Mike and his family about being queer and being with Mike. Because Mike and Eleven are so unhealthy together, that isn't helping at all. It's not going to help Eleven, it's not going to help Mike, it's going to screw everyone over. Whereas Mike and Will being together, it gives Will the strength he needs to fight, maybe he even gives him powers. It gives Mike this sense of personality back, he can be the leader again because he's strong in himself and he knows what he needs to do. So, yeah, and again, as you said, no one writes slow burn rejection. That's a horrible thing to write, especially since BYLER has been foreshadowed since season 2. To have him like him for loads of seasons and then just to screw him over in the season where he's already being bullied, like, that is gonna really do Will's mental health in. So I sincerely doubt we're going down that route. Anyway, that is it for today. It's not as long as usual, but that's because, you know, I'm going with the theories that we have at the moment. Please feel free to leave any theories in the comments and I will add them to the next video. Catch you later, and remember...
The lion doesn't concern itself with BYLER doubt.